The moment I stepped through the front door, I knew. The air in our West Lake Hills home was thick, charged with something I could not name but could feel in my bones. Dim light from the Restoration Hardware floor lamp spilled into the corner where she was. Eva, lounging in the leather armchair like a queen on a crumbling throne. Her legs were crossed casually, one stiletto dangling from her foot. Manicured fingers swirled a glass of deep red Cabernet. She looked up, her expression a carefully constructed mask of neutrality. But I saw it, a flicker of smug satisfaction in her eyes. I'd known for a while, suspected, anyway. But tonight, the last piece of doubt evaporated. "Hey, honey," she purred, the corners of her mouth twitching into a smirk. "You re-home early." Her voice was too light, too casual, too fake. I held her gaze as I dropped my keys, the fob for the Tesla, onto the console table by the door. Did I interrupt something? Ava's smirk widened, but she kept playing the innocent part, tilting her head. "What are you talking about, James? About the fact that I just got confirmation you re-cheating on me? About the lies that are about to blow up in your face? About the hurricane that's heading straight for you?" But I was not going to give her the satisfaction of seeing me rage. No, I had something much better in store. I took a step into the living room, feeling the weight of the coming conversation settle deep inside me. Ava swirled the wine in her glass again, watching me with a lazy mix of curiosity and defiance. "You reacting weird tonight," she noted, bringing the glass to her lips. "Something happen? Tough day at the office?" I ignored her, my eyes fixed on the sleek, gas fireplace. There, next to a stack of coffee table books, Architectural Digest, a biography of Elon Musk, was something that did not belong. A watch, a man's watch, silver band, expensive, a Tag Heuer, not mine. I picked it up, turning it over in my fingers, a cold, almost glacial calm spreading through me. "Whose watch is this?" Ava did not even glance at it. "I do not know. Yours probably." I let out a short, humorless laugh, shaking my head. "Are you really going to lie straight to my face?" She sighed, a dramatic, eye-rolling affair. "Oh God, do not start. Probably Jake S. He stopped by earlier. Jake, our neighbor, married. The perfect cover story. If I did not already know the truth." "Jake," I repeated, playing along. She nodded, taking another slow sip. "Yeah, he came by to borrow my hedge trimmer. Must have left it." I tilted my head, letting the silence hang between us, studying her. She was not fidgeting, not a flicker of nerves. She was too calm, too confident in her lie. Had she rehearsed this? I placed the watch back on the mantel. "I saw you, Ava," I said, my voice even, "at the hotel. With him." In that instant, her composure finally cracked. Her fingers tightened on the stem of her glass, but she was not giving up. Not yet. "Oh, of course," she scoffed, chin jutting out. "So now you re-following me? Seriously? Do you hear yourself? You sound paranoid. The classic playbook. Deflect, attack, never admit." But this was a game she had already lost. I took a slow step forward, feeling a quiet confidence infuse my every move. "I have pictures." Those 3 words hit her like a punch to the gut. The color drained from her face, leaving her skin as pale as marble. The smirk that had been playing on her lips a second ago faltered. It was just for a moment, a barely perceptible tremor, a crack in her armor, before she forced herself to straighten up again. "Pictures?" She laughed, a brittle, unconvincing sound. "Of what? Me walking into the Line Hotel? That does not prove a thing." Without a word, I pulled out my iPhone, swiped open the gallery, and turned the screen to her. Ava froze. The photos were not of her just walking through the lobby. They showed her pressed against a man in a dimly lit hallway, his hands on her waist, their mouths locked in a passionate kiss. Clear, undeniable proof of her betrayal. A moment frozen in time that she could not talk her way out of. She blinked, her throat working as if she was trying to form words that would not come. And then, as always, Ava chose to attack. "So what?" she snapped, crossing her arms. What are you, some kind of private eye now? Stalking me? That's pathetic, James. I just stared. Her nerves finally broke. She shot to her feet and started pacing, waving her hands erratically. You do not know anything. Maybe I was drunk. Maybe he came on to me. You were not there, you did not see. Room 307. I cut in, my voice flat. The same room you booked on your credit card 3 times in the last 2 months. Her breath hitched. The carefully constructed wall of her deceit was crumbling under the weight of facts. And then, unexpectedly, she laughed. A cold, sharp, bitter sound. Fine, she spat, turning to face me. Yes, I slept with him. And you know what? I do not regret a damn thing. She was trying to hurt me, to seize control of the situation again, to wound me. I just smiled slowly. Good, I said, my voice dangerously calm. That makes what comes next so much more interesting. Her brow furrowed, a flicker of suspicion in her eyes. What's that supposed to mean? I raised my phone again, but this time I swiped to a different folder. Sent messages. Her game was already over. She just did not know it yet. Ava tensed, her confidence wavering. She could feel it. Something was wrong. Something was not going according to her plan. What did you do? Her voice was sharp now, laced with the first real tremor of anxiety. I let the silence stretch, tightening around her like a noose. Then, with deliberate slowness, I turned the screen to her. Her eyes latched onto the phone, scanning the messages frantically. Her breathing grew ragged. It was all there, in black and white. A group text, sent, with the pictures attached. To her lover, or rather his wife. To her parents. To her circle of friends from the country club. And the piece de resistance to her boss. You did not. She stammered, her voice trembling. You could not have. I tilted my head slightly. Could not I? No. Ava breathed, her face ashen. Her fingers scrambled across the screen, trying to delete, to undo, to rewrite reality. No, no, no. I crossed my arms, watching her world implode in real time. You torched this marriage the minute you decided to screw another man. Ava, I said calmly. I just made sure everyone knew who was holding the match. She snapped her head up, fury blazing in her eyes. You think you some kind of hero? You think you better than me? I stepped closer, my voice dropping to an icy whisper. No, Ava. I just think we even. A strangled sound, somewhere between a growl and a sob, escaped her lips, her face twisting into a snarl. You son of a bitch. I held up a finger, stopping her. Save your breath, I said coldly. You going to need it for all the explaining you about to do. I turned and started for the stairs. Oh, and one more thing. I threw over my shoulder, pausing at the threshold. You should probably figure out where you sleeping tonight. I am having the locks changed in the morning. Her face contorted into something ugly, a mask of pure hatred and the sudden, terrifying realization that she had lost all control. But I did not care anymore. I did not wait for a response. I knew what would come next. The begging, the screaming, the empty apologies. I did not need to hear it. I walked into the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water from the Brita pitcher, and leaned against the granite countertop, taking a deep, steadying breath. This was the moment I had been waiting for. The moment I could finally cut the cord that tied me to her. It was a sweet, satisfying feeling. Behind me, a soft sound. Footsteps. I did not turn around. Ava's voice was hoarse, trembling, but I could still hear the familiar, venomous undertone. Are you really that cold? That heartless? Do not I mean anything to you? I did not answer. I made a mistake, she went on, her voice cracking. I never wanted it to go this far. Please, we can fix this. I'll break it off with him. I'll do anything. I turned slowly, my gaze empty, impassive. Ava stood in the doorway to the kitchen, her eyes red-rimmed, her lips trembling. She did not look like the woman I once loved. She did not even look like the woman she was just a few minutes ago. A stranger was standing in my house. "I gave you everything, Ava," I said, my voice quiet. "Do you really think an apology is going to change anything?" Her face twisted in anguish. "I was miserable. You do not understand." I took a step toward her and she fell silent. "No, you do not understand." My voice hardened. "You are not the victim here, Ava. You never were." I paused, watching her breath catch in her throat. "You chose this, and now you get to walk the path you laid out for yourself." I spoke coldly. "I am not your punching bag anymore. Not your backup plan." Her eyes glistened with tears she had not allowed herself to shed yet, but it did not move me. "Do you really think I can just forget all of it?" My voice grew sharper, like a blade cutting through the tension. The lies, the deceit, the absolute soul-crushing lack of respect. I was seeing her in a new light, not as the woman I'd spent years with, not as someone I had once loved. Before me stood the person who had systematically dismantled me. And finally, the rage I had suppressed for so long was allowed to surface. "I loved you, Ava," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "But you made damn sure I could never say those words again." She gasped, her hand flying to her chest. But I was not finished. "You'll be served with the divorce papers soon," I added, my tone now venomously calm. "But do not think for a second you walking away from this with a clean slate. You ruined my life, and now I am going to make sure yours is in ruins, too." Her face went white. For the first time all night, I saw not arrogance, not defiance, but pure, unadulterated fear in her eyes. You would not," she whispered, her voice failing her. I held her gaze. "Oh, I would. And I will," I said, savoring the words. Ava was shaking. Her confidence was dissolving like sand through her fingers. It was almost pathetic. Almost. "You do not have to do this," she mumbled, her voice raspy, pleading. "We can work something out." I laughed. A real, genuine laugh, but it was bitter and full of contempt. "Work something out?" I shook my head. "You mean like how you worked out cheating on me and sleeping with another man?" Her lips trembled, but for once, she had no comeback. I took another step forward, watching her instinctively retreat. For the first time, she was not in control. The power had shifted entirely, and she felt it. "You were planning on leaving me? Were not you?" My voice turned contemplative. "As soon as you got everything you wanted?" I saw her swallow hard, trying to hide her panic. "No! Do not lie to me, Ava." My words cut through the air. "I know about the separate bank account. I know about the texts to your sister, telling her you were just waiting for the right moment." Horror washed over her face. "How did you?" "It does not matter how." I leaned in closer, watching her shoulders tremble. "What matters is that you were never going to tell me the truth. You were just using me for as long as it was convenient." Tears welled in her eyes, but I felt nothing. Not a shred of pity. "Do not destroy my life," she sobbed. "Please. I know I screwed up, but—" "Screwed up?" I cut her off, my jaw tight. "You did not just make a mistake. You burned everything to the ground. And now you want to walk out of the ashes like nothing happened?" She opened her mouth, then closed it. She was out of excuses. I let the silence hang for a beat before delivering the final blow. "I am not just divorcing you, Ava," I said slowly, relishing each word. "I am taking everything." She sucked in a sharp breath. "What?" I smirked, a cold, cruel expression. "You heard me. I've already spoken to my lawyer," I said calmly, watching the last bit of color drain from her face. "Texas is a community property state, but your infidelity gives me a hell of a lot of leverage. And the best part? That ironclad prenup you signed. Everything you were counting on, it has gone." Her legs seemed to give out, and she stumbled, catching herself on the arm of the sofa. "No, that is not fair." "About as fair as you cheating on me?" I shrugged. "But you rewrite. It does not matter anymore." I walked past her toward the door, not bothering to offer a shred of sympathy. By the way, you should start packing. I threw over my shoulder. This house is mine too. A choked cry, half rage, half despair, escaped her throat. I did not stop. There was no point. Her pleas, her excuses, they were meaningless now. Ava sank onto the designer couch, burying her hands in her hair as if she could physically hold her collapsing world together. This ca not be happening, she muttered, trying to convince herself. You ca not do this. I pulled on my jacket, adjusting the collar. Already did. On the coffee table, her iPhone buzzed incessantly, lighting up with a cascade of notifications. She did not even reach for it, terrified to look at the chaos I had unleashed. His wife had seen the pictures. Her friends were demanding answers. But the one I was enjoying the most was her boss. Ava had spent years cultivating her image at the marketing firm, the perfect, reliable professional, all while secretly meeting her lover at boutique hotels downtown. But I had the proof. I found the emails, sent from her work account, arranging their meetups. And her boss. Oh, he had a zero-tolerance policy for that kind of scandal. I glanced at my watch. The fallout should be starting right about now. Ava's brow furrowed, catching my glance. But before she could ask, her phone rang, a shrill, piercing sound in the quiet room. She snatched it up, looked at the screen, and her face went pale. I smirked. Who is it? She slowly raised her horrified eyes to mine. No, she whispered, shaking her head. You did not. I just raised an eyebrow. She hesitated, then scrambled into the hallway to answer it. Hello? Oh, Mr. Alderman. Hi. I tilted my head, listening. The voice on the other end was sharp, clipped. Ava's posture went rigid. She tried to get a word in, but was cut off. No, please, I can. Panic seeped into her voice. But the outcome was inevitable. A few moments later, she slowly lowered the phone, staring at the screen as if it were her death warrant. The call was over. I leaned lazily against the doorframe. Let me guess, I drawled, watching her mouth open and close without a sound. He is disappointed. Feels this kind of behavior is unbecoming of a senior vice president. Her throat worked, but no sound came out. What? Did he fire you? I tilted my head, savoring the moment. She remained silent. I took a step forward, letting the pause stretch, letting her feel every agonizing second of her downfall. Or just suspend you pending an internal investigation. Her lower lip began to tremble. You, her voice broke. I just smiled and shook my head. No, Ava, I said, turning for the door. You did this to yourself. She collapsed onto the bottom step of the staircase, gripping the railing as if it were a life raft. I paused for a second, just long enough to see her flinch as I walked past, my jacket brushing her shoulder. Oh, and one more thing, I said without stopping. A reminder. You have until morning to get your things and get out of my house. I paused for a beat, letting the words sink in, then added with an icy smile. Because if you still here when I get back, I'll have the Austin PD escort you out for trespassing. A raw, strangled sob tore from her chest, but I did not look back. I was done with her lies, done with her games. And this was only the beginning. When I stepped outside, the cool night air hit me, sharp and bracing, like the first deep breath after being held underwater for too long. I stood on the porch for a moment, letting the chill fill my lungs before pulling my phone from my pocket. The screen lit up with a single unread message. It is done. His wife knows. A slow, satisfied smile crept across my face. Perfect. Ava's lover. Her little secret. Her escape from reality. He was now facing the music. His wife, I was told, had been stunned, but after the initial shock, she did not waste time on tears. The moment she saw the proof, she went on the offensive. The affair that Ava had so carefully concealed was now imploding just as spectacularly as her own life. Behind me, the front door creaked open. Wait! Ava's voice was raw, ragged. We need to talk. I answered without turning around. There's nothing to talk about. She took a hesitant step onto the stone porch, her heels clicking softly. You see, not just throw me out on the street. I have nowhere to go. I kept my gaze fixed on the manicured lawns of the neighborhood, my voice flat with indifference. That's no longer my problem. I heard her breath hitch, a suppressed sob shuddering through her. I gave you years of my life. A dry, hollow laugh escaped my lips. And then you threw them away for some sleazy fling, I said, turning slowly to face her. You do not get to play the victim, Ava. Not now. Her hands clenched into fists, nails digging into her palms. I made a mistake, she cried out. And you, reacting like I am some kind of criminal, like I did something unforgivable. I tilted my head, my stare boring into her. But you are a criminal, Ava, I said, my voice even devoid of emotion. You stole everything from me, my trust, my time, my love. I saw a flash of helpless fury in her eyes. What do you want from me? She spat through gritted teeth. You want me to beg? Fine, I am begging. Please do not do this. We can fix this. I slowly shook my head. There is no us anymore, Ava. My voice was quiet, but it carried the weight of finality. There has not been for a long time. She stood before me, breathing heavily, her once perfect facade now a wreck. Mascara smudged beneath her eyes, lips trembling, the expensive mask shattered. I leaned in slightly, my voice dropping to a menacing whisper. You thought you were in control, thought you could lie, manipulate, and play your games. But guess what, Ava? I paused, enjoying the way her spine stiffened. You lost. She flinched. I stepped back, letting the reality of her situation crash down on her. You'd better start packing, I said, turning away. And with that, I walked to my car, leaving her standing there, broken and alone. She would not be here tomorrow. But my revenge was just getting started. I barely slept that night, not from regret. There was none. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling of a hotel room, replaying the events of the past few weeks. Every lie, every betrayal, and the step-by-step demolition of the secret world she debuilt. By morning, I was ready to close this chapter. The house greeted me with silence. Ava's smug voice was gone, her forced laughter no longer echoing off the walls. There was only a void, and it felt right. But when I walked into the dining room, I saw her. She was sitting at the table, a ghost of herself. Her hair was a mess, her eyes hollow and empty. She had not slept. The dark circles under her eyes were proof, as was the defeated slump of her shoulders. A half-packed designer suitcase stood beside her, but I knew instantly she had not been trying to leave. She was clinging to one last, pathetic sliver of hope. I walked to the kitchen island, grabbed a mug, and poured myself a coffee from the Nespresso machine, not even glancing in her direction. I told you to be gone by morning. She did not answer right away, just stared at me with those tired, bloodshot eyes. Finally, her lips trembled, and she whispered, I have nothing left. I took a slow sip of my coffee. Not my problem. She exhaled sharply, her fingers gripping the edge of the table as if it were the only thing keeping her upright. You took everything from me. I let out a quiet, humorless chuckle, shaking my head. No, Ava, you did that to yourself. She swallowed, her gaze dropping to her trembling hands. I do not have a job anymore. My friends would not answer my calls. Her voice broke. And she could not finish, but I knew. He would not even look at you, will he? I smirked, raising the mug to my lips. Guess your little fairy tale of true love was just another one of your lies. Ava's jaw tightened, but she said nothing. What do you want from me? She breathed, the words barely audible. I slowly set my mug down and leaned forward, looking her directly in the eye. I wanted you to feel exactly what I felt. The betrayal, the humiliation, the realization that everything you thought was yours could vanish in an instant. Tears welled in her eyes. And I got it. I added, my voice flat. I straightened up. Now get out. She hesitated. Only for a second. But in that second, she understood. There was no more bargaining. No more games. No more manipulation. It was over. With a shuddering breath, she grabbed her suitcase, her hand shaking. Before she left, she paused in the doorway, giving me one last look. A look of silent, desperate appeal. But she found nothing in my eyes. Not a flicker of pity. And then, without another word, she turned, opened the door, and stepped out of my life forever. But for me, this was not the end. Simply kicking her out was not enough. For years, Ava had played her dirty games, lied, and manipulated, convinced she was untouchable. She had built a life on a foundation of deceit. My job now was to make sure she could never rebuild. The moment the door clicked shut behind her, I picked up my phone. There was one last step. I dialed a number. A familiar voice answered on the other end. "It's done," I said, my tone even and dispassionate. "Time for phase 2. After a brief pause, a low chuckle came through the line. "Consider it in motion." Ava thought I would not notice, that her secret financial machinations would remain hidden. Too bad for her. I had not just noticed. I had been recording, documenting, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. A few calls to my attorney were all it took. Suddenly, the accounts she thought were hidden were frozen. The quiet movement of money she'd been siphoning from our joint accounts for months had triggered a series of flags with the bank's compliance department. Now, she would have to explain the source of funds she thought she had so cleverly concealed. And her lover? The married man who so easily tossed aside his vows for her? His wife, a woman with a spine of steel and a family lawyer on speed dial, moved fast. She filed for divorce, citing infidelity, and got a judge to sign an order freezing all their marital assets. He was not just losing his family, he was losing everything. Ava was about to learn the true meaning of the word alone. I leaned back in my office chair, a rare feeling of pure satisfaction washing over me. Once, during a drunken argument, she had sneered at me that karma was not real, that life was unfair, that people like her always landed on their feet. I smirked. Well, let's see how she lands now. Her fall was not instantaneous. It was not a single, clean blow. No, it was a slow, agonizing bleed out, and I watched every second of it with undisguised pleasure. It started with the bank. The moment she tried to open her Chase app and saw the account access restricted message, I knew what was coming. A flood of panicked texts. "What's wrong with my card? James, I see not access my money. Did you do something? Answer me." I ignored them. Next came the apartment, the one she'd been renting secretly over on South Congress. A buddy of mine in commercial real estate made a call to the property manager. A quick review of her lease showed a clear violation of the building's policies. When she showed up there, hoping to find a sanctuary, her key fob no longer worked. But the most elegant move was the final one. Her lover. I timed it perfectly. I waited until I knew she was out of money, out of options, and out of places to stay. I knew she would go to him, her last resort. And what did she find when she pulled up to his sprawling home in Tarrytown? His wife standing on the porch. His designer suitcases lined up on the curb. The locks already changed. And the divorce papers served right into her trembling hands. Ava had been burning bridges for so long. She did not even notice when she finally torched her last way back. Late that evening, as I sat in the silent house, my phone vibrated. Unknown number. I did not need to check. I knew. I let it ring, imagining her on the other end, desperately hoping I'd pick up. I did not. A moment later, a voicemail notification popped up. I put it on speaker, leaned back and listened. "Please." Her voice was a ghost of its former self, stripped of all its arrogance, leaving only a hollow, broken shell. "I have nowhere to go. Just talk to me." A pause. A shaky breath. "I know what I did was horrible. I know I hurt you. But I see not do this alone. I do not know what to do." I let the silence fill the room, stretching the moment. Then I deleted the message. No hesitation, no regret. Now she was feeling it. The helplessness, the desolation, the loneliness, the same things I had felt. And that was exactly what I wanted. I watched the notification vanish, then permanently erased it from my phone. Ava made her choice the moment she betrayed me. I was not her lifeline. I was not her backup plan. I was her judgment. I looked up at the ceiling, breathing in the silence that now owned this house. Before, it had been oppressive, suffocating, full of ghosts. But now it was peace. And somewhere out there, in this new, cruel reality I decrafted for her, Ava was adrift, stripped of everything she once held sacred. No home, no money, no friends. Perfect. I found myself wondering where she was. Sleeping in her Lexus? Banging on the doors of friends who now wanted nothing to do with her? Maybe, just maybe, she had to swallow her pride and crawl back to her parents in Houston. The thought of that spectacle, Ava, the perfect princess, forced to return in shame to the home she left with such grand ambitions, was amusing. My phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. Pressing play, I leaned back in my chair, letting the sound fill the room. A long, shuddering breath. A pause. I hope you happy. Her voice was empty, lifeless. UV destroyed me. Is this what you wanted? I did not answer the empty air. I was wrong. Her voice cracked. I know that now. A sob. But I do not deserve this. I do not deserve to lose everything. A dry, bitter laugh escaped my lips. If she only knew. The message ended abruptly, as if she lost the will to speak. I deleted it without a second thought. No reply, no reaction, not a shred of pity. She had already taken everything from me once. I was not about to let her take anything else. Days passed, then weeks, and finally, Ava vanished from my life, like a stubborn stain that had finally been scrubbed clean. No more late-night calls. No more desperate texts full of pathetic pleas and justifications. She finally got it. I was not going to save her. But despite that, her shadow lingered. Sometimes, I catch myself listening for the click of her heels on the hardwood floors. Sometimes, I thought I could still smell her perfume in the air. Sometimes, I wake up in the middle of the night and for a split second, forget she was not sleeping next to me. It was strange. Even after everything, after I had systematically dismantled her life, she still haunted me. Until the text message. Another unknown number. I know you would not answer, but I just wanted to say one last thing. I stared at the screen, fighting the urge to just block the number. But curiosity won. The 3 dots blinked, vanished, reappeared. Finally, the message came through. You were right. I lost everything, and I deserved it. I felt my fingers tighten around my phone. Then another one appeared. But you know what? My brow furrowed. The next one came almost immediately. One day, this is not going to be enough for you. I exhaled. A sharp, irritated breath. She was trying to get one last hook in, plant a seed of doubt, twist one final knife. Another message. You think you won. That you got your justice. But what happens when the thrill wears off? When there's no one left to punish? I bit the inside of my cheek. Not this. Not her pathetic psychological games. Quickly typed 2 words. Goodbye, Ava. And I blocked her. Deleted the thread. Wiped her away. And just like that, her ghost was gone. Or so I thought. And that's where today's story ends. Thank you for watching to the end. If you enjoyed it, do not forget to like and comment. We'd love to discuss this story with you. See you in the next video.